Good morning. For week 4 lesson in PE, I guess everyone knows this is sports. And yes, you are correct that finally we are going to discuss sports. And this is volleyball. So let's begin. So let's begin with the basics of volleyball. Volleyball is a game in which two teams of players hit a large ball, which is the volleyball, back and forth over a high net. It is composed of 6 players per team, and 6 players only allowed to play in the court per team. So, inside the court, there are a total of 12 players. It is considered as indoor sports. That is why many tournaments are held inside the court. But for recreational purposes or recreational sports or games, you can play volleyball outside the court. Volley means hitting the ball before it touches the ground. That is the rule of the game. Defend or avoid the ball touching your ground or hit the ball to land or touch it on opponent's ground. So, the ball must always be in the air. Now, let's talk about the history of volleyball. It was in 1895 that William G. Morgan, a physical education teacher at YMCA, invented the volleyball. He invented the volleyball in Holyoke, Massachusetts, because some businessmen are having a hard time playing basketball. That is why they invented the volleyball, because they find basketball to be vigorous. The first name of the game was actually not volleyball, but it is called mintonet. And for the continuation, actually it was only in 1896 that from mintonet, Alfred Halsted changed the name of the game into what we know today, the volleyball. In 1910, the game volleyball was introduced to the Filipinos by the American named Elwood S. Brown, who was then the physical director of the Young Men's Christian Association YMCA. Let's continue. In 1916, in the Philippines, an offensive style of passing the ball in a high trajectory to be struck by another player were introduced. In 1917, the scoring changed from 21 from 15. When the volleyball was invented back then, you can have as many hits as you want. But it was only in 1920 that they decided to make it only 3 hits per side, and the back row attack rules were instituted. While in 1947, They founded the Federación Internazionale de Volleyball, or basically what we know today as the FIVB. So, if basketball has FIBA, remember that FIVB, or the Federación Internazionale de Volleyball, is for the volleyball. After it was known international, in 1964, the sports volleyball was included in the Summer Olympic Games, while in 1998, the introduction of the 25-point rally system to set 1 to 4 was made. And remember, in the fifth set, it remains raised to 15 points. Now, let's talk about the equipments or the things needed in the volleyball game. Obviously, the first thing you need is the ball itself, which is the volleyball. So from the circumference, from the diameter, the weight, the air pressure, and the materials should be followed, set by the international standard. And there you have it on your screen. After the ball, let's talk about the net and the poles. The size, the length of the net is just the same for boys and girls. It only differs in the height. The boys' net is higher than the girls' net. Let me also add that antenna is also included as you are not allowed to touch it and the ball to go beyond it. It's like a outside line near at the pole or at the end of the net. There you can see the straight line or the straight antenna near at the end of the net. Of course, let's not forget the court itself. For the court, it should have a length of 18 meters with a width of 9 meters. Now, let's look at the court dimension. Attack line is also important in volleyball as it will separate the front line players to the back line players. And this line will also play an important role for the libero player, and we are going to discuss it further as we dig deeper in volleyball game. Now, aside from the court itself, let's talk about the playing area. So now, or nowadays, okay, aside from the court, as you can see on your screen, or the yellow area that is the court, playing area should also be considered. Okay, the green part on your screen are what we call the playing area, and that should be followed as well. I know, guys, you are very excited to know more about the history of volleyball in the Philippines. So let's just watch this video.
Isa sa pinakamahalagang kontribusyon ng mga Pilipino sa larong volleyball, ang pagkaimbento ng setting at spiking. Paano nga ba ito nangyari? Taong 1895 nang naimbento ni William Morgan ang larong volleyball. Ito ay makalipas lamang ang 4 na taon nang naimbento naman ng matalik na kaibigan nitong si James Naismith ang larong basketball. Mabilis ang pagsikat ng larong basketball noon lalo na sa mga kabataan. Ngunit ang nasabing laro ay masyadong nakakapagod at hindi angkop para sa mga negosyante at para sa mga lalaking medyo maedad na. Dahil dito, naisip ni William Morgan na gumawa ng isang team sport na hindi na kailangan ng physical contact. At doon na nga nagsimula ang pagkaimbento ni William Morgan ng larong volleyball. Ang konsepto ng larong volleyball ay nagmula sa iba't ibang sports na pinagsama ni William Morgan. Ang konsepto ng paggamit ng bola ay nakuha nito mula sa larong basketball. Ang paggamit naman ng net ay nakuha nito mula sa larong tennis. Ang paggamit ng kamay para maitawid ang bola sa kabilang bahagi ng net ay nakuha nito mula sa larong handball. Ang konsepto naman ng paggamit ng innings ay nakuha nito sa isa sa pinakasikat na laro noon, ang baseball. At dahil nga sa mga larong iyon kung kaya nabuo ang larong volleyball. At dahil nga sa masyadong mabigat ang bola ng basketball para gamitin sa nasabing laro, si William Morgan ay nakipag-ugnayan kay A.G. Spalding at sa mga kapatid nito para gumawa ng espesyal na bola na gagamitin sa larong volleyball. Ang naimbentong laro ni William Morgan ay una nitong tinawag sa pangalan na Mintonet. Taong 1986 nang ipinresenta ni William Morgan ang bagong imbento nitong laro sa YMCA Physical Directors Conference na ginanap noon sa Springfield, Massachusetts. Matapos ang nasabing conference, si Dr. Alfred Halstead ay nagsuggest na palitan ang pangalan nito at gawing volleyball. At yun na nga ang naging pangalan ng nasabing laro hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Malaki ang pagkakaiba ng larong volleyball noon kaysa ngayon. Ilan sa mga kaibahan ng larong volleyball noon ang pagkakaroon ng unlimited players at unlimited touches. Magkaiba din ang scoring system na kung saan gumagamit pa sila noon ng innings. Sa service section, kapag kinapos ang serve, pwede itong patamaan ng kasamahan nila para maitawid sa kabilang bahagi ng net. Mabilis ang pagsikat ng larong volleyball hindi lamang sa Amerika kundi maging sa buong mundo. Nakarating ang larong volleyball sa Pilipinas taong 1910 at ito ay dahil kay Elwood Brown. Matatandaan sa kasaysayan na minsang naging teritoryo ng Estados Unidos ang Pilipinas mula noong taong 1898 hanggang 1946. Dahil sa ang Pilipinas ay binubuo ng mga isla, ang mga sundalong Amerikano noon na na-assign sa iba't ibang isla sa ating bansa ang tumulong upang palaganatin ang nasabing laro sa buong bansa. Lingid sa kaalaman ng karamihan, ang mga Pilipino ay merong malaking naiambag sa larong volleyball. Isa na dito ang pagkaimbento ng 3-hit limit. Matatandaan na ang volleyball noon ay meron pang unlimited hits o unlimited touches. Ngunit nang naglaro ang mga Amerikanong sundalo kasama ang mga Pinoy, napansin nila ang kakaibang estilo na ginagawa ng mga Pinoy. Ang mga manlalaro kasi natin noon ay masyadong mapagbigay, na kung saan sinusigurado muna nila na lahat ng kasamahan nila ay makakatama sa bola bago nila ito itawid sa kabilang bahagi ng court. Ang nasabing estilo ng paglalaro ng mga Pinoy ay masyadong time-consuming at nakakabawas din sa competitiveness ng nasabing laro. Dahil dito nagdesisyon ang mga Amerikano na ipatupad ang 3-hit limit sa bawat team. Ang pagkakaroon nga ng 3-hit limit ay isa sa mga standard rules ng larong volleyball na ginagamit hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Isa rin sa pinakamahalagang kontribusyon ng mga Pilipino sa larong volleyball ang pagkakadiskubre ng setting at spiking. Matapos ipatupad ang 3-hit rule, ang mga Filipino volleyball players natin noon ay naging mas competitive sa nasabing laro. Sa hangarin nilang makascore, naimbento nila ang setting at spiking. Ang naimbento ng mga manlalaro natin noon na set and spike ay tinawag ng mga Amerikano na Filipino bomb. Taong 1961 naman ang unang naaprubahan na ang kauna-unahang Volleyball Association dito sa ating bansa. Ito ang Philippine Amateur Volleyball Association o PAVA. Ang PAVA ay pinalitan ng PVF o Philippine Volleyball Federation. Ang PVF naman ay pinalitan ng LVPI noong nakaraang 2015. Sa kasalukuyan, tuloy-tuloy ang paglago ng larong volleyball dito sa ating bansa, hindi lamang sa mga lalaki kundi pati na rin sa mga babae. Sa katunayan, ang volleyball ang pumapangalawa sa pinakasikat na team sport dito sa ating bansa. Sa larangan ng women's volleyball, nangunguna pa din sa ranking ang bansang China. Nasa ika-7 pwesto naman ang Japan at nasa ika-number 14 ang bansang Thailand. Ang kasamahan naman natin sa Southeast Asia na bansang Vietnam ay nasa ika-36 na pwesto. Bagamat tuloy-tuloy ang programa ng volleyball dito sa ating bansa, tayo ay nananatili pa din sa ika-117th na pwesto sa world ranking. Thank you for reaching this far. If you find this video helpful, support our channel. Just click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon.
So, as you can see, we Filipinos made a lot of contribution to the sports of volleyball. From the 3-hit rules, though, we are not the one who invented it, but we are the reason why it was invented. And the spike and the setting, it was made by the Filipinos for the sports of volleyball. We should be proud. MLQ High School are very supportive in these sports. Even though it's pandemic, our school varsity player are in the shape because they always do training inside their house. So you can do it as well. And we will further discuss that training on our house on our next lesson. So that's all for today. Thank you and God bless.